When performing electrical load calculations for multi-unit buildings, particularly apartments, there are some general rules and common kilovolt-ampere, or kVA, values that can be used when specific appliance specifications are unavailable. A good starting point is to calculate a total base load for each unit, with a base load of 5 kVA per unit. Then, add any additional load for appliances and equipment as per the specified requirements that you may have. Now, focusing on electric ranges, in the absence of specific appliance specifications, a standard load of 4.5 kVA is typically used. For other standard appliances commonly found in residential buildings, you can typically use 0.5 kVA for dishwashers and 0.5 kVA for garbage disposals. Let's go through an example load calculation for a 15-unit apartment building with electric ranges, dishwashers, and disposals. Firstly, calculate the base load per unit, which is 5 kVA multiplied by 15 units, equaling 75 kVA. Secondly, calculate the electric range load, which is 4.5 kVA multiplied by 15 units, equaling 67.5 kVA. Thirdly, calculate the dishwasher load, which is 0.5 kVA multiplied by 15 units, equaling 7.5 kVA. Finally, calculate the garbage disposal load, which is 0.5 kVA multiplied by 15 units, equaling 7.5 kVA. To calculate the total load, add all of these together. 75 kVA plus 67.5 kVA plus 7.5 kVA plus 7.5 kVA equals 157.5 kVA. Please note this is a general rule of thumb. It might need to be adjusted based on the actual size and specifications of the appliances installed in the units. It is always best practice to consult with a licensed electrician or to refer to the manufacturer's specifications for the most accurate load calculations possible. Remember to always adhere to local electrical codes and regulations when performing electrical load calculations and installations. It is crucial to verify your calculations and ensure the electrical system can safely handle the intended load. Furthermore, consider factors like future expansion or additional appliances that residents may add over time. This ensures the electrical system is robust and capable of accommodating increased demand. Regularly review and update load calculations as needed, especially during renovations or when new appliances are installed. Doing this will help maintain a safe and reliable electrical system for all residents in the apartment building. Also remember that accurate load calculations are essential for selecting the appropriate size of electrical service equipment, such as transformers, switchgear, and distribution panels. Undersized equipment can lead to overheating, voltage drops, and potential electrical hazards, while oversized equipment can result in unnecessary costs and inefficiencies. It is important to strike a balance between safety, reliability, and cost-effectiveness when designing and installing electrical systems for multi-unit buildings. When dealing with electric ranges, it is worth noting that their actual power consumption can vary depending on their features and usage patterns. Some ranges have higher wattage heating elements or additional features like self-cleaning ovens, which can increase their overall load. Therefore, it is always recommended to consult the appliance's nameplate or manufacturer's specifications for the most accurate load information. Similarly, dishwashers and garbage disposals can have different power ratings depending on their size, features, and energy efficiency. Energy-efficient models typically consume less power than older, less efficient ones. When calculating the load for these appliances, be sure to use the appropriate kVA values based on their specific ratings. Another factor to consider when performing load calculations for apartment buildings is the diversity factor. The diversity factor accounts for the fact that not all appliances and equipment will be operating at their maximum load simultaneously. For example, it is unlikely that all electric ranges in a 15-unit apartment building will be used at the same time, or that all dishwashers and garbage disposals will be running concurrently. The diversity factor can be applied to reduce the overall calculated load, resulting in a more realistic estimate of the actual demand on the electrical system. The specific diversity factor to use will depend on the type of building, the number of units, and the expected usage patterns. Local electrical codes and regulations may provide guidance on appropriate diversity factors for different types of occupancies. In addition to the base load and appliance loads, it is also important to consider any other significant electrical loads in the apartment building, such as lighting, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or HVAC systems, laundry equipment, and common area loads. These loads should be calculated separately and added to the total load to determine the overall electrical demand. For lighting loads, use the connected wattage of all lighting fixtures and apply any applicable demand factors as allowed by local electrical codes. For HVAC systems, use the nameplate ratings of the equipment and consider any applicable diversity factors. For laundry equipment and common area loads, estimate the expected demand based on the number of users and the type of equipment. Finally, remember that load calculations are an iterative process. As more information becomes available about the specific appliances and equipment to be installed, the load calculation should be updated accordingly. It is also important to periodically review and update load calculations as occupancy patterns change or new appliances are added. By following these guidelines and best practices, you can ensure accurate and reliable load calculations for multi-unit buildings, leading to safer and more efficient electrical systems. Furthermore, ensure that all electrical work is performed by qualified and licensed electricians who are familiar with local electrical codes and regulations. Electrical installations should always comply with the National Electrical Code, or NEC, and any applicable local amendments. The NEC provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical safety, including requirements for wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and bonding. It is essential to adhere to these requirements to minimize the risk of electrical hazards and ensure the safety of occupants. In addition to the NEC, local electrical codes may have additional requirements or restrictions that must be followed. These codes may vary depending on the jurisdiction and may address specific issues related to local conditions or concerns. It is important to be aware of and comply with all applicable electrical codes and regulations when performing electrical work. When selecting electrical equipment for apartment buildings, choose products that are listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, or all. These listings indicate that the equipment has been tested and meets established safety standards. Using listed and labeled equipment helps ensure that the electrical system is safe and reliable. Regular maintenance and inspection of electrical systems are essential for preventing problems and ensuring continued safety. Electrical panels, wiring, and equipment should be inspected periodically for signs of damage, wear, or corrosion. Any issues identified during inspection should be addressed promptly by qualified electricians. In addition to visual inspections, electrical testing should be performed periodically to verify the integrity of the system. This testing may include insulation resistance tests, ground impedance tests, and voltage drop tests. These tests can help identify potential problems before they become serious hazards. Furthermore, consider implementing energy-efficient technologies and practices to reduce electrical consumption and lower operating costs. Energy-efficient lighting appliances and HVAC systems can significantly reduce the overall electrical demand of the building. Smart thermostats and energy management systems can also help optimize energy usage and prevent waste. Educating residents about energy conservation can also contribute to reducing electrical consumption. Encourage residents to turn off lights and appliances when not in use, to use energy-efficient settings on appliances, and to report any electrical problems promptly. By working together, building owners, managers, and residents can create a more sustainable and energy-efficient environment. Also, be mindful of future expansion or changes in the building's electrical needs. Plan for potential increases in electrical demand and ensure that the electrical system has sufficient capacity to accommodate future growth. This may involve upgrading the electrical service, adding new circuits, or installing additional equipment. By anticipating future needs, you can avoid costly and disruptive upgrades down the road. Be familiar with local utility company requirements and regulations. Utility companies often have specific requirements for connecting new buildings to the electrical grid. These requirements may include load calculations, metering specifications, and service entrance requirements. It is important to coordinate with the utility company early in the planning process to ensure that the electrical system meets their requirements. Load calculations are not just a one-time task. They should be reviewed and updated periodically to reflect changes in occupancy, appliance usage, and equipment installations. Regular updates ensure that the electrical system remains adequate for the building's needs. Proper documentation of load calculations is essential for future reference and troubleshooting. Keep detailed records of all calculations, assumptions, and data used in the load calculation process. This documentation can be invaluable when making future modifications or repairs to the electrical system. Emergency preparedness is also an important consideration. Develop and implement an emergency plan that addresses potential electrical outages or other electrical emergencies. This plan should include procedures for safely shutting down electrical equipment, providing backup power, and contacting emergency services. Consider installing a backup generator to provide power during electrical outages. Backup generators can be essential for maintaining critical systems and ensuring the safety of occupants during emergencies. Regularly test and maintain the backup generator to ensure that it is ready to operate when needed. Provide residents with information about electrical safety. Educate residents about the dangers of electrical shock, overloading circuits, and tampering with electrical equipment. Encourage them to report any electrical problems or safety concerns promptly. Consider conducting regular electrical safety inspections to identify potential hazards and ensure that the electrical system is in good working order. These inspections can help prevent accidents and protect residents from electrical dangers. Stay up to date on the latest electrical codes and regulations. Electrical codes are constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and safety practices. It is important to stay informed about these changes and to ensure that all electrical work complies with the latest requirements. Consider joining professional organizations and attending industry events to stay current on electrical codes and best practices. These activities can provide valuable insights and networking opportunities. Remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following these guidelines and best practices, you can help ensure a safe and reliable electrical system for apartment buildings. This contributes to the well-being and safety of the residents. When calculating the load for electric ranges, consider the demand factor specified in the National Electrical Code, or NEC, Table 220.55. The demand factor allows for a reduction in the calculated load based on the number of ranges installed. This factor recognizes that not all ranges will be operating at their maximum load simultaneously. The specific demand factor to use will depend on the number of ranges and their individual ratings. Refer to NEC Table 220.55 for detailed guidance on applying demand factors to electric range loads. In addition to the general rules for calculating appliance loads, consider any specific requirements or recommendations provided by the appliance manufacturers. Some manufacturers may provide detailed load information or guidance on how to calculate the load for their products. This information can be valuable in ensuring accurate load calculations. When calculating the load for dishwashers and garbage disposals, consider the duty cycle of these appliances. The duty cycle refers to the percentage of time that the appliance is actually operating. Dishwashers and garbage disposals typically have intermittent duty cycles, meaning that they only operate for a portion of the time. The load calculation can take this into account by applying a demand factor to the calculated load. The specific demand factor to use will depend on the expected duty cycle of the appliance. Remember to consult with qualified professionals and local authorities. Always consult with a licensed electrician or other qualified professional for assistance with electrical load calculations and installations. These professionals have the knowledge and experience to ensure that the electrical system is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Also, contact the local building department or electrical inspector to obtain information on local codes and regulations. They can provide guidance on specific requirements or restrictions that may apply in your area. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified professionals. Do not attempt to perform electrical work yourself unless you are properly trained and licensed. Electrical safety is paramount. Consider the impact of electric vehicle, or EV, charging stations on the building's electrical load. As electric vehicles become more popular, the demand for EV charging stations in apartment buildings is likely to increase. EV charging stations can add significant load to the electrical system, so it is important to consider their impact when performing load calculations. Consult with qualified professionals to determine the appropriate size and configuration of EV charging stations for the building. Remember to address any concerns or complaints from residents regarding electrical issues promptly. Electrical problems can be disruptive and potentially dangerous. Respond to resident complaints quickly and efficiently to ensure their safety and satisfaction. Conduct regular surveys or meetings to gather feedback from residents about their electrical needs and concerns. This feedback can be valuable in identifying potential problems and improving the overall electrical system. Consider using smart home technologies to enhance the efficiency and control of the building's electrical system. Smart home devices such as smart thermostats, lighting controls, and energy monitors can help residents manage their energy consumption and reduce their electrical bills. These technologies can also provide valuable data for monitoring and optimizing the building's electrical system. Remember to prioritize sustainability and environmental responsibility in all aspects of the building's electrical system. Use energy-efficient equipment, implement energy conservation measures, and promote sustainable practices among residents. By doing so, you can reduce the building's environmental footprint and contribute to a more sustainable future. These measures ensure that you are responsible in protecting our environment.